Ryan sat in his office, staring at the glowing city skyline through the glass wall. The lights looked like scattered jewels on a dark velvet cloth, but tonight they gave him no joy. He was 32, a self-made millionaire who had built a software empire from scratch. His employees revered him, his clients trusted him, and magazines often wanted him for their success story covers. Yet there was a hollowness in his chest that meetings, deals, or luxury couldn't fill. He thought of his childhood neighborhood and narrow streets, the smell of fried bread from neighbors' windows, the sound of boys playing cricket in the alleys. He hadn't been there in months, maybe years. Every time he visited, he felt a pang of guilt for leaving it all behind. More than anything, he thought of his father, Kareem, a man with callous hands who had worked as a janitor for decades. While other fathers carried briefcases, Kareem carried mops, buckets, and rags. He never complained, not once. And Ryan's little sister, Amina, his gentle, bright-eyed sibling born with a condition that left her legs unable to support her. She was 14 now, but in Ryan's memory, she remained the fragile 6-year-old who smiled through pain, who clapped whenever he promised he'd buy her something special. Today, after a long board meeting, Ryan decided on impulse to drive home early. His driver looked at him in surprise when he said, "Take me to Bubba's place." The luxury car rolled away from the glittering downtown and entered streets that grew narrower, rougher, and more familiar. Old shops leaned into each other, children ran barefoot, and people recognized his car with curious eyes. He lowered the tinted glass slightly, breathing in the scent of rain-soaked earth. He felt something inside him loosen, like a knot entangling. When they reached the small, weathered house, he asked the driver to leave him there. The building stood humble, its walls faded from years of sun and dust. The iron gate squeaked as he pushed it open. He paused at the doorstep, listening. There was laughter in the light, bubbling laughter that carried innocence. It was Amina's laugh. He hadn't heard it in person for so long. Slowly, he moved closer to the window, curious before announcing himself. What he saw through that cracked glass stilled his breath. Kareem was sitting cross-legged on the floor in his old, faded janitor's uniform. The knees were patched, the shirt worn thin, but his posture was proud and steady. In front of him lay scattered items, a broken mop handle, cardboard cutouts, rubber bands, old screws, and pieces of wood that looked like they had been pulled from discarded furniture. And beside him, on the floor, sat Amina, her wheelchair parked just a little behind. Her face glowed with excitement. She was holding a strip of cardboard like it was treasure. Kareem guided her small hands, showing her how to fold and tape it. His movements were patient, deliberate, filled with tenderness that only years of sacrifice could teach. "Like this, Amina," Kareem said gently. "Tighten the rubber band here. Yes, perfect. Now try to pull." The contraption was slowly taking shape, though Ryan couldn't yet understand what it would be. But he noticed how every time a piece slipped or the cardboard bent the wrong way, Amina laughed instead of frowning. Kareem laughed too, a deep, tired, but warm laugh. The room was filled with the joy Ryan hadn't felt in his penthouse in years. It wasn't a toy. Ryan realized that quickly. His father was building something functional, as something to attach to Amina's wheelchair. The broken mop handle was being reshaped into a lever, the wood scraps forming a support bracket. It was crude, but ingenious. With each adjustment, Ryan saw the device begin to make sense. Kareem was fashioning a kind of hand crank system so Amina could push herself forward without needing someone to constantly push from behind. Ryan's throat tightened. He leaned closer, careful not to make noise, his heart pounding strangely. He remembered the countless times he had sent expensive gifts to his sister, dolls, tablets, branded clothes, imported paints for her drawings. He remembered the way her voice would sparkle on the phone as she said thank you. But standing there, he realized none of his gifts had given her this look, the look of pride glowing in her eyes as she assembled freedom with her own hands, guided by her father. Kareem wiped the sweat from his brow, even though the evening was cool. His rough fingers, scarred from years of scrubbing floors, moved delicately as he secured the final piece. He tested the small mechanism by pulling it gently. The wheel responded. Amina's eyes widened in wonder. "Try it now, Habibti," he said, his voice cracking with anticipation. Amina reached forward, gripped the small lever her father had made, and pushed. The wheelchair rolled forward a few inches. Just a few but it was enough. Her laughter burst like fireworks, filling the room with pure, unfiltered joy. She looked at her father with awe, as though he had given her wings. "I can do it, Baba, I can do it," she exclaimed. Kareem's eyes watered. He placed his hand on her head, whispering, "Yes, my love, you can go wherever you want." From the window, Ryan's vision blurred. He swallowed hard, pressing a fist to his lips to stop himself from making a sound. In that moment, he was no longer the millionaire who closed multi-million-dollar contracts or appeared on magazine covers. He was just a son watching his father, the janitor, create miracles with scraps. He was a brother watching his sister taste freedom for the first time. Memories crashed into him. Nights when Kareem returned home with aching joints, his hands smelling of disinfectant, but still carried Amina in his arms because she was too tired to sit in her chair. Mornings when Kareem packed Ryan's lunchbox with neatly cut sandwiches even though he himself went hungry at work. The times he had stitched Ryan's torn school shoes instead of buying new ones, saying, "Money will come later, education is more important now." And now, even in his old age, Kareem hadn't stopped creating, providing, loving. He was still building this time. Not just a life for his son, but independence for his daughter. Ryan felt shame ripple through him like a cold wave. He had been so busy chasing wealth, proving himself in boardrooms, that he had forgotten what real richness looked like. Here at Mossy, on the floor of a small, crumbling house, where a janitor father and his disabled daughter laughed together over broken sticks and cardboard, Amina pushed the lever again, her wheelchair moving forward another few inches. She clapped her hands, delighted at her own power. Kareem clapped with her, laughing until his tired shoulders shook. "Soon, we'll polish it, make it stronger," Kareem said. "You'll go to the park yourself, race with the other kids." Amina tilted her head, her eyes wide. "Really, Baba?" "Yes," he said firmly, though his eyes betrayed exhaustion. "You deserve the world." Ryan pressed his forehead against the window frame, tears finally spilling down his cheeks. He realized that no matter how many millions he earned, he had never created something as priceless as this moment. He had been buying comfort, but Kareem was building dignity. He had been chasing applause from strangers, while his father sought only his children's smiles. In that dimly lit room, with scraps turned into hope, Ryan saw the truth of his family's wealth, a love measured not in currency but in sacrifice, creativity, and faith.